Good evening, everybody. How you doing? How you doing? Jim, welcome for another episode of the Barreled Up podcast. We're doing it on my channel tonight. And
Yes, sir.
Jim, there is not a lot going on right now, but we got a few things to dive
Mm-hmm.
into tonight,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm glad we at least have something to bite
Yes.
into. Jim, how are you getting through these cold, quiet days right now?
Um, I'm getting fired up. Like, like the whole Chris Getz thing. I went. I, I've been pretty fired up about Chris Getz and some other stuff. But aside of that, um, I did yesterday. I feel like we are at a point, and I did it yesterday on my Sunday night stream. I know you. Or no, wait, it wasn't Sunday. It was Monday. What the hell day is it? I don't
I
even
don't
know.
know
My
what day
kids,
it is.
dude.
It's
My kids
Wednesday?
haven't. My kids have not been to school in the building since last Friday. I don't know what day it is. It all is the same thing at this point. So anyway, yesterday, I did winners and losers. I'm at the point where I know we can't give out grades, but we can do winners and losers at this point.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about who screwed this up, who knocked it out of the park. That's where my head's at these days.
Yeah, I did a video yesterday. And for those of you in the chat that don't know, yes, I posted a video yesterday. And go check out Jim's as well. But yeah, I did a video on just like best fits for free
Mm-hmm.
agency because,
Mm-hmm.
things are always changing. It's the off season for you. And I'm thinking, God, we still got so many free agents on the board. So it's like, well, hey,
Yeah.
I'm bored. I need content. Why not? We'll just do it. I might even do a part 2 predictions, to be completely honest. At this point, I'm just trying to get through, which, I was listening to Jared Carabas on the Baseball is Dead podcast, and he really made a lot of sense with one thing he said. He said, when you make predictions in November, they're pretty much always going to be wrong because one thing can happen and that can just change everything. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, it's always fun to make predictions. We all love predictions, but I don't think it hurts to do like a part 2 predictions. I used to be very like,
No.
I'm not doing a part 2. I'm sticking to the original ones, but really things do change. And hey, the way Boris is running things right now, who knows what's going on? It's crazy, Jim, because the last couple of off seasons, it feels like we had, even though it got kind of annoying sometimes, like team was interested in this player, team was interested in this player. It felt like it was getting a little annoying at times, but at least it was something to dive into. Whereas now it's just, it's dead silent. It's crazy.
Well,
what do you think about, just Boris and everything?
I was gonna say, it's not only that it's dead silent, and I think part of that is because these players don't have a market large enough to get news like that and changing. Like the market's kind of like Cubs, Cody Bellinger, Rangers, Jordan Montgomery, Giants, Matt Chapman, Hader. Feels like it's Dodgers or it is not changing. I will say this about Boris. Somebody brought it up yesterday in the live stream that Boris is one of the losers of this offseason. And my initial reaction was to say, no, he's just calculating. But I thought about it for 5 seconds and I came to the realization, and I hate that I forget the person who brought this up, brought it up in a super chat too. But I think it was right on that Boris has actually maybe botched this offseason. Remember last offseason, he said, by the end of the winter meetings, my guys are going to be signed. And that's what's going to happen. He sort of forced the market. And he didn't do that this year. And maybe it was because he wanted to wait for Ohtani to come off the board and for teams to feel, a loss. But what we found with Ohtani and we found with Yamamoto is that loss did not mean that the team was pivoting to anyone else. The Blue Jays did not pivot to Bellinger. The Mets did not pivot to Snell or Montgomery. They were just like, all right, we missed out. We're going to move on to Marcus Stroman and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa and Sean Manaea. Like, that's what happened when the Yankees missed out on Yamamoto. They went Stroman. When the Mets missed out on Yamamoto, they went Manaea. When the Blue Jays missed out on Ohtani, they went IKF and Kevin Kiermaier. So maybe Boris kind of did mess this one up this year because now teams are starting to reach their ceiling and what they're comfortable spending with. Rosters are filling up. Spots are being solidified. So maybe Boris messed this up. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see because, every offseason is different. There's always going to be some kind of a new trend, whether we see, how fast guys sign or perhaps, different types of contracts. Like I feel like over the last few years, we've been seeing more of those opt-outs getting thrown into deals. I think we got to wait until the end here. Let's see what actually happens. Let's see what kind of money. I'm also just wondering if, these few TV deals are throwing a wrench in everything. We'll talk about the TV deal a little bit later when we talk about Jordan Montgomery. But I think that's kind of throwing a wrench in it because it also just has to do with, one particular player on the market, Jordan Montgomery, where the one team that's really the perfect fit for him, the Texas Rangers, they got TV money issues. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Yep. But, I think that's really throwing a wrench in the whole thing. And I think teams, and I think other teams are also seeing that. And I think they're almost kind of trying to wait things out a little bit. Like, I think it's just it's a staring contest right now, seeing who blinks first, right?
Yeah, you're right. Quick shout out. I see him in the chat. You were right. It was I Am Versatility. He is here tonight. He was here last night. He is everywhere. You cannot escape him. I Am Versatility all over the place. bringing us thoughts, contents, topics to talk about. I Am Versatility. Good. Shout out to you, my friend.
But let's get this show on the road. Everyone, make sure to download the Barreled Up podcast. You can find that wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, whether that's Google, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, wherever. I don't even know where else you can listen to podcasts, but my preferred
The Moon.
Spotify. Wait, which one was that?
The Moon.
Oh, yes. I Spotify for me, that's my go-to. I feel like that's the easy one. But but yeah, make sure everyone go download that. It really does help us out. And hey, if you like our faces enough, go give us a 5-star rating. Leave a comment, whether that on Apple. I think you can write reviews there or whatever. But yes, let's move on here to the start of the show. And hey, Jim, your Blue Jays are active. We got something today. Well, it's not officially, but we have Yariel Rodriguez, one of the more intriguing guys on the market from Cuba, been pitching in Japan, more as a reliever. He pitched in the World Baseball Classic, had, I think, 10 strikeouts over a little under eight innings pitched during the World Baseball Classic. Good stuff. Good fastball, good velocity, looking around upper 90s with that, and then a big-time slider, a lot of spin on it. He's got some pretty good stuff. Very good numbers over in Japan. ERA in the ones, right around 10 strikeouts per 9 in Japan. The question is, what is his role going to be? We saw teams are interested in him as a starter. Some teams are interested in him as a reliever. And the Blue Jays were considered to be one of those teams that were into him as a starter. For me personally, I see him as a reliever. I see a shutdown closer at some point. Who knows? Maybe even like almost like an Andrew Miller kind of a type, multi-inning reliever, an ace out of your bullpen. But Jim, overall, hey, it's nice to see the Blue Jays make a move. What are you thinking? How do you feel?
I mean, it's the biggest move they made all offseason, certainly over Kevin Kiermaier and IKF. And just a quick special shout out, I Am Versatility coming through with a super chat. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We appreciate that. I would say that, again, it's the biggest move they have made this offseason. It is interesting because the rotation is set as it is. They have 6 or 7 guys. You add him into the mix, that takes it to 7 or 8 guys competing for a rotation spot. And it feels like 5 of those spots are locked in. Yep. Only if Alek Manoah goes out there and implodes, is there a spot open in that rotation? And if that happens, save us all. So I like that. I believe he wants to be a starter, though. So this is rumored to be a 4-year deal. Yep. And if that is what comes through, then you think he slides into the rotation for Kikuchi when you see Kikuchi's contract expires at the end of the season. But then there's Ricky Tiedemann and Gausman and Barrios and Bassett still have a couple of years left. This is not the final year there. So it's perplexing. From a add talent to your roster perspective, yes, it definitely does that. Does it address a area of need that this team has? It does not. And that is the only concern that I have here is that it does not address a need. Sounds like it's going to be about $8 million. They are already about $10 million over what they spent last year. If you mentally add Vladdy's looming arbitration dollars in.
Yep.
So I don't know if they have any money left. And if you're a Blue Jays fan, you don't want to hear that because you still want Jorge Soler or JD Martinez, or at the very least, Jock Peterson. You want somebody with pop. You'd love a lefty bat. I don't know if they can spend that. Let me throw this at you. As you can tell, I'm kind of torn on the deal. I like it. I don't like it. I don't know. I'm on both sides of the fence. Let me throw this out at you. And you let me know if I'm just going crazy here. I feel like adding Rodriguez opens up the potential that the Toronto Blue Jays might do something else. That the Toronto Blue Jays now could seriously entertain the idea of trading either Manoah or Kikuchi. Now, trading Manoah would be ridiculous at this point, right? Because his value is about as low as it could possibly be coming off of last year's dumpster fire. But Kikuchi is coming off the best year of his career. He's entering the final year of his contract, and we know the price for starting pitching in the trade market is extremely high. Here's a trade for you. The Toronto Blue Jays send Yusei Kikuchi, a utility, versatile position player, somebody like a Kevin Biggio, Santiago Espinal, Ernie Clement, one of those three, one of them, and a prospect, not a top level prospect, but somebody in that 15 to 30 range, right? Anybody over the age of 21 in that 15 to 30 range for Ha-Sung Kim. If you do that, if you're the Toronto Blue Jays, you actually bring the dollars down because Kikuchi will make more than Ha-Sung Kim. The Padres need starting pitching. The Padres need players to fill holes. So if you sent Kikuchi, Santiago Espinal, and another prospect, you load the Padres up with a starting pitcher that's coming off their best year, could give you some good innings. You load them up with a versatile position player. You can move them all over the infield. You give them a prospect. The Blue Jays get a cheaper Ha-Sung Kim. He becomes the second baseman, and that opens up dollars for the Toronto Blue Jays to then, at the very least, go out there and sign Jock Peterson. You could turn this into a 3-player addition if you're aggressive and enough of a deal maker. Am I crazy? I know I'm crazy, but I feel like that's the way to go at this point for Toronto.
The only snag I have in that is this Ha-Sung Kim. He's a great value for what he's making, right? And to me, the Padres, he's a fan favorite there, but he also gives you a lot of production for not that much money.
Right.
So that's like the only thing I could see being the snag. Yeah, I totally see a fit there. I just wonder if the Padres really want to give him up, especially with the defense that he provides. And I feel like the Padres really need to hang on to as much good talent as they can at this point. Now, he's not Juan Soto by any means,
right?
But with the fact, Soto was making a ton of money, and you weren't going to be able to extend him anyway. So Ha-Sung Kim, on the other hand, is not making that much money, and he's giving you so much more value. The return on investment with Ha-Sung Kim it's so good. So that's like the only snag that I see. Let me hit you with one. I got an idea. I have one. Listen to this one. How about this? You go to the Marlins. The Marlins. Remember what they did with Jesus Luzardo.
Wait, I think I know where you're going, and I'm getting excited. Hold on. I might be getting excited, but come on.
They got Jesus Luzardo back on track.
No. I don't want Luzardo. I want somebody else.
No. I'm saying I'm using this as an example.
Okay.
I mean, if they could do it with Luzardo, why couldn't they do it with Alek Manoah? Maybe throw in a future shortstop that they don't have in their system.
Take him.
Marger. Throw in maybe, Babe Ruth Schneider. Give him a bat that they could use. Luis Arise. I mean,
yes.
That's not a good trade. I mean,
bring it. So
tell me, I mean, maybe the Marlins don't want to do that, but like, to me, if they're going broke, and if I have the chance to get, Manoah back on track, the Marlins are great with pitching. Now, I could see Marlins fans being like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" But hey, listen, you did it with Luzardo, okay? I'm just saying. I think that sounds pretty good, and it gives a lefty bat for the Blue Jays, top of the order. I like it.
I think Arise costs more than Ha-Sung Kim. I think Arise because you've got 2 years, right? With Luis Ariz, and Ha-Seong Kim is an expiring. So look, at the end of the day, the Blue Jays can't stop, right? I think we both, whether it's Luis Ariz, I would love it. Ha-Seong Kim, figure out the package. Even Jonathan India, it's not great,
India
but
would be good.
I think there's something there. Reds fans hate the idea of trading Jonathan India. That's all you got to say.
Yeah.
Blue Jay fans that don't want Jonathan India, Reds fans don't want to trade him. So what does that tell you? I think that there's something that they need to do. The lefty bat's the way to go, and I guess I'm hopeful that this Yariel Rodriguez signing gives that Blue Jays front office the feeling of some security with the depth with their starting pitching, to where they can maybe dangle Yusei Kikuchi. You could probably get something good for Yusei Kikuchi. I mean, the asking price for starting pitching is ridiculous. And you think about the teams that are trying to get Shane Bieber, Corbin Burns, Dylan Cease, on and on, Luzardo. We know the asking price is astronomical. If you can come in there with Yusei Kikuchi with a bargain, all of a sudden, whoa, wait a minute. Yes, let's do this. So this could present the Blue Jays a very interesting opportunity.
Yeah, I think you could see something, I think the thing is, it's like you're just waiting for these guys to start coming off the board a little bit and opening up, those avenues. Because when one domino falls, another falls, and another, and another, and another. And that could be like, okay, for one team, okay, we got to make a trade. We got to go figure something out here. And then things can happen real quick. So I think a lot of it, we have been getting some bits and pieces from Heyman today on his Bleacher Report stream, where he said he's thinking like that mid starting pitching market's going to start moving. He's going to, you'll probably start seeing the reliever market get moving a little bit, maybe even some bats. So I do think we're going to start seeing something, because listen, Scott Boras can hold this up all he wants, but to me, if I'm a player, I kind of want to know where I'm going. Maybe that's just me. Maybe Blake Snell does not care and he's ready to just pack his bags and go wherever he wants. But I would think, man, gosh, like I would want to kind of know where I'm going a little bit. A month away from spring training, less, right? So we'll see. But overall, I do like the signing for the Blue Jays. It's not expensive. It's $8 million per year. You figure it out as you go. But I definitely think it could open up something for maybe a bat. If maybe someone like Luis Ariz or Ha-Seong Kim were not possibilities. How about Jorge Soler? Jorge Soler was one of the bats John Heyman mentioned today, and he said your Blue Jays would be the favorite for him. What do you think? Really, it's kind of feels like it's down to 3, maybe 4 teams, right? The Red Sox are in there at one point, listed as the front runner at one point. Doesn't look like that much anymore. The Mets have been in there. Even the Diamondbacks have popped up a little bit, but the Blue Jays seem to be the team when you're looking at the reports in the driver's seat. What do you think? We've talked about the lefty bats, but if Jorge Soler was the bat the Blue Jays got, how would you feel about it?
I would be happy with it. I mean, look, I want the lefty. I do. Jorge Soler, we've seen him go in the tank. We've also seen him rake. And that's the only thing I worry about. If he goes in the tank for 2024, this Blue Jays team is done, especially if you sign him to a 3-year deal. So that's my only hesitation. If we're getting the best version of Jorge Soler, I'm excited. If we get the bad version of Soler, I'm unconsolable. And even if we get the version of Soler that's in the middle, I'm not happy. So that's the problem. Like there's 3 versions of him, and there's only one that makes me happy. For the money, for the years, I worry about Jorge Soler. I don't, and as it is, I don't think they have the money to sign him after this Rodriguez deal as it is. So I wonder if this is leverage. If Heyman, look, some of this stuff from Heyman, if it's from his gut, that's one thing. If it is a sources tell me, that's a whole different thing. That means in my opinion, that means he's been basically told to say that, so that maybe it alters or improves an offer from another team. I still think, again, the only way the Blue Jays get to the finish line with Jorge Soler on the roster is if there are moves made between now and then, because I do not believe financially. And if you're wondering why does he keep talking about this, Mark Shapiro, did his end of season exit interview. And he said that this team could keep their payroll at its current level. They've already gone up by about 15, 20 million bucks. Are they going to go up another 15, 20 million bucks to bring in Jorge Soler? Yeah. I'm skeptical of that. So that's my only worry. I feel like the low risk, high reward proposition is Jock Peterson. But I understand there's a lot of Blue Jay fans that get excited about Soler.
Yeah, to me, the one thing the Blue Jays need, they need a guy that can slug over 500. You know, they didn't have one guy last year besides Schneider who had over a 500 slug, and that was a small sample size. But they really do need some of these guys to step up for them, Vlad especially, maybe get a little bit more out of Springer. They got to get some guys within, but someone like him would make a lot of sense. But it does feel like if they were to only add one bat, the lefty bat would probably fit a bit better. I've also seen the other side of the coin where Blue Jays fans out there on Twitter land saying, hey, I'm not going to complain if we land Jorge Soler. Like, you can talk about the righty lefty matchup all you want, but a bat's a bat at the end of the day. Where do you lean there? What side of the argument are you on?
I want a lefty. 100%. I would honestly, I would rather have Jock Peterson than Jorge Soler. Straight up. Forget Peterson, the dollar amounts, forget the years. I would rather have Jock over Jorge Soler. And I'm crazy. I know that I'm probably in the 5% of the Blue Jays fans that would follow that. That's where I'm at, though.
Yeah, no, Jock, I think, also brings the element, too, where, I feel like the Blue Jays, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not going to sit here and say I watch Blue Jays baseball every single day, but it feels like, I don't know, maybe they could use a little bit of personality. You know what I mean? Like a little something. Would you feel that way? Or
they got personality. But what they need is a guy. I look, so Jays fans that are like, this guy's an idiot. I'm done.
You're saying that about me.
Look, Jock Peterson is not the end. Jock Peterson is the deal for now, and then go get another big bat at the trade deadline. Okay, I get that. Whatever the big bat is, go trade for Pete Alonso at the trade deadline. All right, so that's where we're at. Okay. That let me just say that I'm not saying Jock Peterson is going to come to the Blue Jays and win the World Series, but I need a guy. I need multiple guys that in October in a short series, I feel like he can hit a home run with his eyes closed. And I feel like Jock Peterson is one of those guys. I need more of those guys. Right now, how many of those do I have on the Blue Jays? I feel like maybe 3. I mean, like maybe we got 3 of them. And that is Bo Bichette, George Springer, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I want 6 of them. Listen, I know Danny Jansen can pull a ball, but if you pitch him right, trouble. I don't feel like Kirk can do it. So that's where I'm at. I want 6 of those guys. And if I can get Jock Peterson on the cheap, that could probably afford me the ability to go out there and do something, grab another big bat at the deadline.
I got the solution for you. We got Soler at DH and Luis Ariz at second base. I mean, goodness gracious. Tell me.
That's where, but I think the only way they do that, again, so you've got to have, right? You talk about Soler, whether it's Soler, you got to do the trade. You have to, whether it's Kikuchi or Manoah, there has to be this Rodriguez thing needs to send into motion a 3-step process. And I don't know if it will. This may be it, but we'll see.
We will see. But it's definitely getting interesting in Blue Jay land. That is for sure. I'll be honest. I did want a little Yariel Rodriguez. The Red Sox were connected to him at one point. Well, they've been connected with everyone, it seems. And one of those people is Blake Snell. Now, a couple of days ago, it came out that Scott Boras is looking for 9 years, 270, 30 per year over 9 years. Are you kidding me? I mean, give me a break. And no, not the Kit Kat kind. I mean, are you kidding me? I get it. I know it's negotiations. You always got to, shoot for the moon. I get it. You got to start high, then you come down, you meet in the middle, right? But just see, it's just like, goodness gracious, like what is going on here? Yeah. I'm now understand. Well, I did understand before, but now I fully understand why this market is moving so slow, because he's asking for almost $300 for a guy who was walking 5 per 9 last year. in my opinion, Snell, I think you'll probably get a couple, maybe 2-3 good years out of him. And then I worry a little bit about Blake Snell at 35 years old, right? When that stuff starts to go down a little bit, when the velocity starts to go down a little bit, which it always does for most of the pitchers. I don't know. What are you thinking with that? Honestly, like, what is your reaction to that?
There's a point with negotiations where, yeah, you gotta start here. If you want, if you need 10 cents, right? Ask for a quarter. Don't ask for 10, right? You need to ask for more than you can get, or more than you want if you want to get what you want. But then there gets to a point where you start turning people off, where they're just like, oh, that's where we're at. Okay, forget what. Talk to us when you come back down to earth. And I feel like that dollar amount, those years, just turns people off. Okay, we can't even have a conversation if that's your starting point, because even the middle ground is too much for us. So look, he turned down the Yankee deal, the 5-150. Apparently he didn't want to be a Yankee that bad. And now I don't know where he's going to end up. The Angels could use him. The Giants. Here's the other thing that's happened is a lot of the teams where you could have slotted him in, they've started to make moves and they don't need him anymore. They probably feel like they can get by. And if his price and his dollars comes down, sure, we'll go out and try. The Yankees brought in Stroman. The Giants traded for a guy who isn't even going to be ready to pitch until the middle of the season with Robbie Ray. Yeah. You've got teams making moves, and I don't see the market for him now. I mean, who is it? It literally feels like it is the Angels. I mean, the Cubs need Managa. The Cubs don't need him anymore. Where could he go? No one's going to give him that dollar amount because nobody needs him that bad at this point. I can't think of anywhere that he winds up.
Yeah, this is where I think it could get really interesting, and where I think, and this is just my opinion, where I think there has been a holdup, right? Because when it comes to Snell, and again, this is just my opinion, but I wonder if teams feel the same way, right? Because he is a stuff first guy, right? He leads with the stuff, doesn't throw a whole lot of strikes. Could he maybe turn into that kind of a pitcher at one point, adjust his game down the road? Sure. But I wonder if teams worry about how his stuff will play, 4 years down the road, 5 years down the road. So that's where I think there is a bit of a sticking point. And that's where I wonder if maybe they do get a little creative. Maybe they try to maximize the next few years, right? If a team's not willing to go the years that they're looking for, maybe you could see something creative, maybe like a 3-year with an opt-out, something like that, where, you try to get like 32 per year for the next 3 years. And then you go back out in the market and you see where you're at then. Right. I understand, though, guys would like to have that long-term security, but I wonder if they do get a little creative here because, and one of the other reasons I think that is because the fact, and we'll get to the Red Sox in a little bit, but the fact that the Red Sox, they don't really seem to be willing to commit to long-term deals at this point. And the fact that they're still being brought up in any kind of rumors or conversations about Snell, that makes me wonder if maybe something like that could be in play. I'm not saying the Red Sox, have any chance of signing him. I just wonder if maybe there is a possibility of something creative like that. Who knows? But baseball trade values, they've been very accurate when it comes to their future free agent value tool. For 9 years, they project him for 9 years. Make sure you keep that in mind. They're projecting him for $22 million per year over 9 years. However, if you take a 5-year deal, well, then you're looking at, they're projecting a $28 million AAV, which would be 5/140. All right. So where do you think in your heart of hearts, right? What is your gut telling you? What kind of a contract do you think he ends up with?
Yeah, I think the only way he sniffs 30 is if it's a short-term deal.
Yeah.
Like the Yankees sort of outlined it. I don't know if the Yankees said it's 5 at 330 a year, take it or leave it. That felt like the deal to try to start to to work on. Take it to, okay, well, all right, you're offering us 5, 150, 30. What if we dropped it down to 25 and we take it up to 6 and maybe we add a mutual option for 7 or investing? Like that
Yeah.
seemed like the deal to try to tinker with because of they reached the 30. I can't see him getting anywhere near what he's asking for. And
Yeah.
it does seem like if he wants the high AAV, he's gonna have to go short. Patman coming through with a super chat. Snell like San Diego. He takes 6 for 180 with deferrals. Going back to San Diego, confirmed. Patman feeling pretty confident about that. The problem with San Diego is if you do that, and I mean, look, deferrals. That's a really popular way of trying to find a way to make your player fit with the team right now. I don't know if he's going to do that with San Diego, and even still, if San Diego puts 10 mil a year, 15 mil a year into him right now, it prevents them from doing other things. So that's the only drawback there. Yeah, I mean, look, a Snell back to San Diego would work if they had maybe a better TV deal situation lined up.
Yeah. And one other problem of that is reports have said, they want to be under that $200 million
Yep.
mark, where right now Fangraphs on the very bottom of the page. I always remember to go to the bottom of the payroll sheet on Fangraphs because that's usually the more accurate number when you account for a whole bunch of other stuff that gets put into play. They're looking at right now 212, right around 212 million. So, and if they want to be around that $200 million mark, I just don't see a scenario where Snell comes into play, unless like they would have to move something, but I don't see what they could move to even consider that. I mean, Cronenworth, I think, is a guy they would love to part with, but even if you get rid of him, you're still not under that $200 million mark. I think right now, I think they're stuck. All right. I don't see him doing much.
They're
Right.
gonna have to give away Cronenworth. Like if they want to get out of that dollar amount, but at the same time, like here's the thing about Cronenworth, like who's to say he can't bounce back? Who's to say he can't still be a productive player?
Yeah.
It doesn't look good, right? It doesn't look good right now, but if he does bounce back, he's 30. So I'm not saying he's done. He's got a couple more years in that peak age window. I always identify that as 27 to 32. So you have a couple more years. Maybe he bounces back, but they are they are in a really bad spot, and I don't know what they could do. You know what they need to do? They need to trade Ha-Seong Kim to the Toronto Blue Jays. But in that world, I guess Kikuchi is not going to go. You'll have to trade a bunch of pre-arbitration guys to San Diego. I mean, they're in a bad spot.
Yeah, and and getting back to Snell, it's very interesting to think of what does he end up with, right? Because if he turned down 150 with the Yankees, I mean, you're maxing out that AAV because baseball trade values, they project for 5 years, they project a $140 million contract, which, hey, that's right around what the Yankees were offering. That's 28 per year. And if he's turning that down, I'm wondering, like, what are you expecting to get? Because there's no way you're getting 30, like even over 7 years. I don't see it. I think maybe that's what they're hoping for. They're hoping for a team to bite, do like a 7, I don't know, like 7-200, like something like that.
The only thing I just think about this, the only thing that would throw this off is if that offer's fake, if that offer never actually happened and that's just fabricated by somebody because maybe there's a similar offer on the table, or there's some reason why Scott Boras or somebody would leak that and it was never real. And there was no offer from the Yankees on the table.
That's also something to think about too. I agree with that. So, maybe they're putting it out there just to try and get another year, couple years, something like that. Boris, man, he's smart, and I wouldn't be surprised if he did something like that. We'll see. But Blake Snell, it's going to be really interesting. I think it could go. I don't think he's going to get the 9. Realistically, I could end up seeing. Oh, I don't see more than 7 for him. I just don't. Like for me, 5, 6 felt right. Maybe there could be an option at the end for something. I would say it either, ends up being like a 5-6 year deal with an option, or he just really tries to max out a couple of years, right? Just try and just get as much as he can, maybe 32, 33 per year for the next 2 years or so.
I am kind of thinking this may end up. I started to hypothesize this a couple weeks ago before the Teoscar Hernandez deal, that the way this market is going, we may see some players take some 1-year deals. And I'm not saying Blake would take a 1-year deal because he's coming off a Cy Young, but is there anybody out there that would give him 40 for 2? Like, is there somebody that would give him a Justin Verlander or a Max Scherzer type contract and say, look, here, we can't lock into you long term. We can't give you $200 million, but we could do this on the short term. I don't know.
We'll see. For me, at the end of the day, I think with Snell, I just think, with the injuries that he's had over the last couple of years, stuff with the groin, and again, the stuff, it's just not a recipe for a guy that's going to hold up, right, over a long period. And maybe Snell ends up doing something like that. He just goes back out of the market every 3 years or so. We'll see. But one guy, I think, when you look at the body of work over what he's done so far in his career, this is a guy that would seem more likely, in my opinion, right, for teams to feel a little bit more comfortable with giving a long-term deal. Jordan Montgomery, where he's been very durable in his career, coming off a lot of innings last year, winning a World Series. So Jordan Montgomery is a guy I could see a team being very comfortable giving a 5-6 year deal, because he's different from Snell, right, where he's not really like a stuff guy first. He's throws strikes, first pick strikes, has some pretty good stuff, but he's a guy that's going to, he's going to be working the corners, working the location. So Jordan Montgomery, I see holding up over a longer period of time. And it got a little interesting today, Jim, where we had a little update on the whole Bally, TV network deal with the Diamond Sports Group, where now Amazon is going to start jumping in here, and they're going to help out for the year 2024. So there's still a lot of language that's getting involved. A lot of lawyers are going to be getting involved with this whole thing, really looking at the fine details of everything. So I feel like it's going to be a little bit before we even see how this all unfolds. But it looks like Amazon is coming to the rescue for 2024, which could mean possibly good news for the Rangers for this year. However, it's still a bit of a question mark moving forward. So I know we have talked about this before, but are you still putting the Rangers as a favorite for Jordan Montgomery?
Yeah, I think that's the only reason he hasn't signed, is that he wants to go back to the Rangers. They want to have him, and they're basically like, hold on. We're trying to work this thing out with Diamond to give us $90 million. Just hang tight with us, because we're going to lock in. We want to bring you back. I think he wants to go there. I think they want to have him back. I think it's a perfect fit. Here's the element. The word is, unless anything has changed since earlier today, and by the time anybody hears this, is that there's 5 teams that Amazon has come to an agreement on, and those 5 teams are the Tigers, the Royals, the Marlins, the Rays, and the Brewers. The Rangers are not in that deal. Yes. Now, maybe that's because the Rangers are working on a give or take a few million here and there, like $90 million. So that would, in theory, keep Bally with the Rangers in 2025 now, or 2024. Now, here's the thing. I hope they get that money and they run it straight to the bank. It's not in installments. Make sure that check doesn't bounce. So I don't know. Come hell or high water, I think Jordan Montgomery ends up back with the Rangers one way or another.
Yeah, it does feel like that. The only thing I just worry about, it's just, the Rangers looking down the road the next couple of years, like, yeah, they're going to help us out here, but are we going to be having consistent revenue coming in to where if we're paying this guy, $25 million per year, is this going to be good for us over the next few years? I don't doubt at all they would love to have him back. It's very obvious they could use him. But I just wonder if a team is going to look at this and they're going to see an opportunity, and then they just say, hey, you know what? The Rangers, I know they're trying to figure stuff out. Maybe they figure something out. But right now, we can give you a 5-year, 140, 150, right? Maybe not 150, right? Maybe like that 130 range, right? Maybe like that 25, 24 per year, right? I wonder, I said this on my video yesterday. I wonder if the Phillies just come out of nowhere, right? Because that's a Dave Dombrowski kind of a thing that he would do, right? Just always looking, always keeping an eye on things. And the Phillies, listen, am I the only one out here that did I miss something with the Phillies this offseason? Have they done anything besides Nola? They haven't done anything. I don't see really how they've gotten better. Right. I just feel like they still need to do something. They could still use a closer, right? You got Alvarado there who's projected to be good, and their bullpen is projected to be good, but they got to do something. Right. Yeah. So I wonder if the Phillies or something, someone could hop in. What do you think?
Right now, the Phillies' estimated payroll is at 238. Their final from last year was 246. And the latest we heard when we checked in on the pulse of the Phillies was that they were trying to get an extension done with Wheeler. So if they get that done after the Nola deal and the pitchers they got coming, I don't see Jordan Montgomery lining up with the Philadelphia Phillies. So I think it's Rangers or bust. What does help the Rangers here is the teams that just worked out the deal with Amazon or are in the process of working out a deal with Amazon. Tigers are not going to jump in. The Royals, the Marlins, the Rays, the Brewers, none of those teams are teams that are looking for the bailout to then be able to go and afford Jordan Montgomery. $100 million is going to Bally. I'm assuming then that's going to work out to about $20 million per team. The Rangers have such a massive deal. It would when I heard that it was $111 million annually is what they got from Diamond, I thought to myself, no wonder this damn organization Diamond is going under. They were doing $111 million with the Rangers. What was it, like 40 with the Padres or something like that? Yeah. So either way, I think that you've got a situation where the Rangers are the team. And we've gotten to this point again because teams have made moves. The Diamondbacks signed Erod. The Yankees did their thing. The Mets have now signed a bunch of C-plus pitchers. The Red Sox make sense if they could get the okay to spend money, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Every
got
team
a little scoopy scoop.
Every team that I look at, it just feels like there's something that X's them out, except for the Rangers. What's the scoop?
Got a little scoopy scoop.
Let's see the scoop.
That. I'm not going to sit here and be like Jared Carrabis saying, scoop shop. I'm not that guy. But I was told a little something where the Red Sox are still there. They're still hanging around, right? And the problem with the Red Sox is they don't want to go more than 3. That's they're sticking right now with 2 years for position players, no more than 2-3 for pitchers, right? Montgomery, it's a little different than say like Mike Clevenger out there.
Yeah,
but Montgomery, that's a guy that they still are connected with. And I do wonder if these teams, what the feeling that I'm getting from the Red Sox is they're just hanging around, right? Just in case something falls through.
Right.
And, something happens there with the Rangers, doesn't work out. And they'll be like, hey, you know what? Come here for, couple years, maybe a year, go back out in the market next year. I don't know. The Red Sox, they're doing some weird stuff right now. And it's kind of hard to get an idea of really what is the end game right now. But with the I understand the direction they're trying to go in. We'll talk about them in just a little bit.
Can I say this?
Yeah.
It obviously wasn't Heimblum's fault. Can we just drop the mic? It obviously was not Heimblum's fault because it seems like the same stuff is happening with Craig Breslow.
Yeah, I think with Heim, I don't think he was perfect either. I think there was something where I think the Red Sox, they probably just thought, from what Jared Carrabis said, something to do with maybe how he was working with agents and stuff like that, right? Just not pulling the trigger on deals and just coming up short on stuff. Trade deadline stuff was, I think the trade deadline at the end really was the final nail in the coffin, right? Yeah. Not doing anything because the Red Sox, they want the long-term vision, but they also want the short-term too. And he just didn't do anything at the deadline. And,
Yeah, look, he
Yeah.
wasn't perfect. He was not perfect. It seemed like he was trying to run it a certain way and it wasn't working.
Yeah.
But ownership
But not his
obviously
fault, right?
right, ownership is
Yeah.
there. It so far, it's only been a couple of months. There's still plenty of time for this to change. We have to see Craig Breslow's first trade deadline. We have to see multiple off seasons in the rearview mirror, but it's not a good start.
Yeah.
This just feels like it's the same thing that was going on before.
Right. But getting back to Jordan Montgomery,
Yep.
you know, I would still say the Rangers figure it out, but I'm always leaving open the possibility because I feel like anytime I say, yep, this is going to happen, done deal, guaranteed, there's a lot of times it just doesn't, right?
Yeah.
And you never know. We got to wait and see what these final details are going to be. Right now, yeah, the Rangers seem to make the most sense. And and I was told too, he wants to go back there. But things can change.
Things
Right.
change.
We'll have to wait and see. I could, if the Red Sox got winter weekend coming up this weekend. If they start a "We Want Monty" chant while Tom Werner and Craig Breslow are on the stage, who knows? Maybe that gets them going a little bit. I'm just saying.
Yep.
But everyone, replay viewers, we are at the end of this. So if you want to listen to the rest of this, make sure you go download the Barreled Up podcast because we are going to be talking about the Red Sox next. So if you want to listen to all that, you will find it on podcast format only. This will not be here for the replay viewers. If you're live, stay with us. We're talking some Red Sox now. Let's